Hello, and welcome to a new episode of The Officials. I'm Ed, and I'm here with Spiros. And today we're going to talk through kind of what's hot at the moment, which is really the tariff deals and the trade deals that Trump has been announcing with various trade partners, particularly focusing on the energy aspect of them and all these commitments that we're getting to buy more US supply of crude, LNG, coal, etc. So, Spiros, can you just give us a quick rundown of who's promised what and how much of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think so far we had three energy deals. So the largest one was with the EU, where they promised $750 billion worth of energy purchases, broken down to $250 billion every single year. And today we had with South Korea another 100 billion over the next 3.5 years worth of LNG and other energy products. And the smaller one, Indonesia, which was 15 billion of US energy products over, we assume, the next 3.5 years over Trump's term.
Yeah, and obviously the US is already a major energy exporter, but the Trump administration has really been emphasizing its will to export more. And you've had like Chris Wright, the Secretary of Energy, he's been all over this. Let's get more LNG, get more coal, get more oil, and then just sell it and just improve the trade balance, because that's been a major part of their trade policy, is the energy aspect of it. And the EU, for instance, the US is already its provider of, I think, 44% of EU LNG imports. So they're already providing a huge amount of energy to these blocks, to these countries that they've agreed these deals with. And the same is true in oil, because I think it was 15% or more of the EU's oil imports came from the US. So clearly they're already in a very strong exporting position. Exactly. But the desire to increase that even further is something that they've made very, very plain since they began the new term for Trump. And, in terms of the overall imports that the EU has, so Eurostat's database shows that they've imported around $437 billion worth of energy products in 2024.
Across all suppliers, right?
Yeah, globally, from everybody. So
that's on a SIF basis. That's not even on a free on board. So
the total is 437 billion in 2024. So if you consider, the proportion of US imports into that, it's much, much lower than how Trump would want it with 250 billion. Yeah. So, it's just incredulous to believe that this is even possible. And that's kind of the point of the video, is we want to prove how ridiculous these numbers are. They're just big numbers made to sound good and made to sound like the US is going to be able to sell and export all these extra products. And it's just not going to materialize. Yeah. So, Trump has been pretty flamboyant, shall we say, as ever, in terms of his language. So if you
of course. I mean, it's worth also mentioning that the US imports of energy products from the EU stood just over 77 billion on a SIF basis, which is about 89 to 90 billion US dollars. So just putting for reference, right?
Right, so it's a pretty one-sided relationship in that respect already.
Yeah, and the math doesn't lie. Like, they have to increase the imports by about 2.8 times in order to make up of the energy deal there is. So
in order for the EU to import $250 billion worth of US products, they have to increase their imports by 2.8 times.
Yeah, so it's something
it's not realistic.
And then the EU also acknowledged that they have no power to tell the private sector to buy American goods or to invest in America. So, like, there is a deal which is just on paper, just on words, with like no real attachment to it, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. You've got because they've committed this kind of investment by the private sector. And yet, as you said, the EU has no authority to push through this kind of investment by private companies. They have the right to buy what they want to buy, and they will buy whatever is most competitive or most works best for them. There's a reason they're private, independent companies and not run by the state.
And would you like to dive more into like the exact figures of imports the EU?
Yeah, for sure. So in 2024, Kpler figures show that the EU imported just over 1.5 million barrels per day of crude oil from the US. I think it was 1.57 exactly. And then about 87 billion metric tons of LNG. So these are huge volumes, and it is a massive market in terms of moving things from one side of the Atlantic to the other. And then coal was bringing up the rear with about 13.33 billion tons as well. But if you look at South Korea. That's a much obviously smaller market than Europe. And they imported just over 47 million metric tons of LNG in 2024 as well. So that's their total imports.
Yeah.
And from the US, they imported 5.7 million tons. So again, like with the EU, you have this dramatic mismatch between what is reality in the past and what Trump and these trade deals are promising. So, as a proportion of South Korea's energy imports, the US is a large contributor, yes, but not on the scale that they're promising now. It's just the scale of magnitude is way out of proportion.
Yeah, I mean, total South Korean imports from the US were just over 3 billion, like $3 to $3.5 billion. So it's nothing compared to what they've agreed so far. And just to put everything into context, right? I mean, the US has agreed to sell something over 350 billion US dollars worth of energy products in every single year over Trump's term. And in 2024 alone, the aggregate US energy exports were just over 318 billion, according to the EIA. So to the EIA, yes. So you just have to put the maths, put the numbers down, and
that's 3 deals.
Yeah,
3 deals have committed more exports than the US exported in the entirety of last year.
Exactly.
It doesn't add up, as you said. So,
I mean, Indonesia is the cherry on top.
Indonesia is a very, very small, 15 billion, right? So compared to the EU and Korea, it's a really small agreement, small commitment. But even so, it's just, there are many more to come. I expect as they keep boasting without actually showing us. But I imagine there will be more energy commitments in that, however unrealistic they may be. So, frankly, there are, I think, 3 main problems to this. First is that the US can't export that much. Frankly, it's just not possible. And even if they are increasing their production of LNG, of oil, etc., which is already contestable, even in the EIA's own forecast, they're expecting US oil output to peak in 2027, about 14 million barrels per day from memory. So they're not going to be able to do that quickly enough. You can't just turn on the tap and suddenly pump out a whole load of new oil. It doesn't work like that on the ground. You have to take time to explore, to actually drill, to put all the infrastructure in place, etc. So on the export front, it's not possible. On the import front, secondly, it's not possible because it's too big a proportion, it's too big a change. And then finally, like the commitment in terms of logistically how it will happen, that the EU has promised its private companies will do this, is nonsensical. So it's a triple, right? You've got this 3 reasons that are individually already enough to scupper the whole plan. And they're all just being combined into making it a complete impossibility.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact that Trump still believes so far that this is going to happen
is a bit delusionary, maybe. But so, we've got those 3 massive reasons why this isn't going to work. And anybody who's saying it is frankly smoking something that we would like to try. But,
you can see in the markets, people haven't reacted really. It's like they have reacted with the Russian sanctions that we covered on Monday, I think. Or the potential sanctions, let's say from the US, the threat, but also from the EU. But they haven't really reacted on these energy deals because they know they're not.
They know it's not realistic. So if you're worried about how this is going to impact the market, frankly, we don't think it really will, because it's pie in the sky and fantasy land kind of expression. So with that concludes a bit of a fiery video, but thank you for watching, and make sure to read our reports on Twitter, on Blocks.live, and on Jorge's LinkedIn. So until next video, thanks for watching.
Thank you.